How's it going, everyone? Gamefly is running a pre-played blowout sale right now, and I feel like they've got some pretty good deals. Some of it's still, quite a bit pricey and maybe wouldn't be the price point that I would pay, but still some decent stuff that I thought was worthwhile to recommend. Again, if you're more of a budget consumer, so to speak, probably best off to wait for deeper discounts on a lot of these titles, just because a lot of these are newer games, and, they'll just get cheaper and cheaper. That's kind of how these things work, but nonetheless, with that being said, let's get right into it, and let's start things off with a game that I think a lot of you would say still needs to be cheaper, and that's The Last of Us Part 1. Down to $49.99, so $20 off from its MSRP of $70, which I think a lot of people already thought was pretty egregious. Now, obviously, Last of Us 1 is a phenomenal game. I think it's one of the best games ever made. You can make an argument it's Naughty Dog's best game they ever made. I think it's much better than Last of Us Part 2. You can say what you want about that. I know people that really enjoyed Last of Us 2, and I really think in most cases, people do really dig Last of Us 2. I think there is just a vocal minority attached to Last of Us 2. That might be a hot take, because I feel like I come across as one of those vocal minority, but nonetheless, again, your opinion may differ on that. But I think unanimously, or near unanimously, everybody loves Last of Us Part 1. And for $49.99, yeah, it's still pricey, but if somehow you missed it, or you just want to replay it and, the $50 doesn't sting as much to you, I mean, just from the standpoint of how quality of a game Last of Us 1 is, it's probably worth it, but yeah, I would probably wait for a deeper discount. I think $20 would be a really good price for this, so that's quite a bit cheaper, but nonetheless, there you go with that. Dying Light 2 Stay Human, down to $19.99. This is actually a really good price for Dying Light 2. I doubt it's going to be cheaper come Black Friday. I could see it being like $19.99 new Black Friday. I could easily see that, but Dying Light 2 been getting a plethora of updates. It's going to get a big DLC here very shortly with Bloody Ties, but overall I like the game. Didn't like it as much as Dying Light 1, but the parkour gameplay is still tremendous. Narratively, it starts off really strong and then it kind of just falls off, especially towards the end, but there's a good bit of content in the game, and overall still a decent game. I know from a technical standpoint it definitely does have its issues, but overall $20 I think is a good price. Horizon Forbidden West, $29.99 for the PS5 copy of the game, so this will get you some the PS5 box and everything like that. The PS4 version is $29.99 as well, so that'll get you the free upgrade to the digital version of the PS5 copy, so whichever one you want to get. Forbidden West in a lot of areas is a really, really good game. I've kind of been a broken record about it, but I think narratively it's not the direction I would have taken Horizon in, not at all. But from a gameplay and a world standpoint, I do think it's fantastic. It's a gigantic step up from Horizon Zero Dawn, and maybe that's the reason they want to remake Horizon Zero Dawn, but nonetheless, a ton of content in the game. Side content that I think is actually pretty meaningful and really has a lot of detail in it. Yeah, and just a gorgeous open world as well, and some new gameplay mechanics that are pretty cool while still staying fundamentally true to what Horizon was from a gameplay standpoint. From a story standpoint, I don't know. You can go a lot of different ways in terms of your opinion on that. I know some people really dug it, but for $30, the good definitely outweighs the bad, and I would strongly recommend it here. Next up, we have Soul Hackers 2, $39.99. This is a JRPG that also has its fair share of issues. $40, I think, is a good price. Narratively, the game is really strong. I think the story is really good. I think the cast of characters is really good. Ringo is one of the best main characters of the year. Soundtrack is awesome. That boss battle theme is tremendous. Unfortunately, some of the dungeon design really leaves a lot to be desired, and there's some redundant elements to it, and, just some really annoying game design as far as the dungeons go. The battle system itself is fairly good, and it's what you would expect. But yeah, if you've been eyeing the game for a while, not a bad price, a lengthy game as well, so, $40 is pretty good, I think. Digimon Survive, $35 on this. Another game that's been holding up in price, but given it came out at the end of July, 3-month-old game for nearly half off, that seems pretty good to me. I know a lot of people weren't high on Digimon Survive because a lot of people didn't know what they were getting themselves into. This is very much a visual novel-esque story-based game. It's very light on the gameplay. The gameplay that is there is a tactical JRPG battle system. It doesn't have a crazy amount of depth to it, but the story is a darker take on Digimon, and if you're looking for a story-driven Digimon visual novel, you're getting exactly that here, which I feel like that's what the developers were promoting the whole time. They're telling you over and over again. They even went as far as to say the percentage of content that was, you know, text-based adventure and visual novel style, and how much was gameplay-oriented, tactical JRPG style. Maybe it's a little bit more leaning towards the story-driven side than even what the percentage said, but they were pretty open about that fact, so I found like some of those takes a little, you know, I just feel like some people weren't like paying attention to what this game was. Nonetheless, again, I think narratively the game is pretty decent, and overall $35 and not a horrible deal. Do want to give a mention to Saints Row 2022. $35 for this. Now, this is one of the weakest received games of the year. I feel like I'm being very negative in this video. I played it on PC, and yo, I wouldn't say it's worth $60, but like, if you like skip all the cutscenes, and I watched Solid Rev's review of it, shout out to him, and he got a lot of flack for his review, but I thought his review was mostly on point, outside of the fact he said to spend $30 of the game. I'm a cheap bastard, so I wouldn't even say spend $30. I would say wait for it to get to like Agents of Mayhem price, like $5 to $10. That's what I'm saying. And then like, if you want like a nonsensical open world action title, there's some fun to be had. You know, again, $60 is like absolutely egregious, and I would say $35 is still pretty egregious, but yeah, that is a pretty steep discount for a game that just came out back at the end of August. Next up, Tiny Tina's Wonderland Next Level Edition, finally down to $30. Like, this was one of those games that came out at $70, and it was just like, bro, what are we doing here? Why is it $70? $30, I think, is a pretty good price. Borderlands and the style of gameplay it is has kind of worn out on me a little bit, and the comedy with Borderlands 3 and Tiny Tina's didn't even really hit with me. But like, if you like that style of gameplay, and obviously Tiny Tina's has a little bit of a different thematical look to it, and also you have this more fantasy vibe, this board game aspect to it as well, there's some fun to be had for sure. It's just $70 was a little bit wild. $30 on the other hand, much more tame, and I can see why people would want to give it a buy at that. Next up, MX vs. ATV Legends. This just came out back in June, so I just want to give it a mention on that. $14.99. PS4 version gets you a free upgrade to the PS5 version. And lastly, AI the Somnium Files, the nirvanA initiative. This is used for $29.99. So this is a direct sequel to AI the Somnium Files. So you got to play that before you play this. But these games, generally speaking, do hold up in price. So $30 for it is pretty good. Like, it'll eventually get cheaper, but if you like the first title, this is obviously another one of those super narrative-heavy games. Very colorful cast of characters as well, anime style. You guys know the deal. Pretty mature story here as well. I enjoyed it, but definitely play the first game if you haven't, and I think most people would agree the first game was a bit better. But nonetheless, again, another super recent release. Go check it out for $30. But that is going to do it for me. Again, some pretty decent deals all around. Again, with a lot of this stuff, I probably would say wait for a deeper discount, but yeah, that's just me kind of being cheap all the time. Like, if you're spending $30, $40 on a game, like I do a lot of the times, but I cover video games on this channel, so it's just like, whatever. I kind of try to look at it from the lens of an average person that's, you know, got a finite amount of time and money to be spending on video games. $30 is a tall ask, so, you know, maybe wait for a deeper discount, but if $30 to $40 doesn't mean a lot to you, you know, that's about the average you pay on video games. Like, some of these pickups are pretty solid, especially like Dying Light 2 for $20. I think that's quite good. Horizon, of course, for $30. That's quite good as well. But that's gonna do it for me. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.